I think you're evil.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But I'm not trying to be mean or rude or whatever. I think that there is a banality of evil in let us entice people to travel from, say, Africa to Brazil, up through some of the most dangerous parts of the world. What's that corridor in Panama that's considered one of the most dangerous places in the world? We have children, young girls being raped mercilessly because people like you are saying, please, you can make it. Come. And then what happens?
No.
I brought that up before.
They end up sleeping under bridges. They end up getting sold into sex trafficking. This is Dr. Phil reported this on The View. How about we say, you will not be granted anything from us. Stop trying to make this perilous journey.
Sure.
And okay, hold on. Coyotes,
that's an option, well. Tim. That's an option, right? Or we could do the thing that I'm actually in favor of, right? And have more legal migration, right? These people want to come here. Let's have more open legal paths. I am not in favor of undocumented immigration, right? It's a problem on all levels. The humanitarian level, right, just as you've laid out, but also logistically in terms of cost, right? Like there's a certain level of burden that happens when you're dealing with undocumented
immigrants. Let me just ask this time.
No, hold on. No, don't add yet. 1 second, okay? I love you, Gibbs, right?
Go ahead. Yeah, no, fine.
Gibbs and I know each other, in case the audience doesn't know. Gibbs and I know each other. But in any case...
But they're not friends.
Not while we're working. Anyway.
Yeah, amen.
But in any case, no, we should actually have legalized immigration, right? We want people to be documented.
Explain, like, do you have a view of the structure of the immigration you'd want to see?
I would rather, I'm not going to go exactly because I'm not an immigration lawyer, so I'm going to be clear, right? But in any of the various paths that we use, because there's like all kinds of paths that you can go with, right? Increase the numbers, right? Like if there is quotas, if there is barriers of entry for like people coming here to work, right? Let's lower those barriers.
I agree with you on all that. Like well, I want a secure border, but I also want work. Like one of my best friends is a former illegal alien. He's legal now. This man's living the American dream. He works 3 minimum. This is also why I'm against welfare, right? This man works 3 minimum wage jobs. He just bought his first home. He just bought a Porsche, and he's getting married to like a large American woman. And he's like, "Oh, Gibbsy, I have made the American dream. I'm going to have kids and all these things." And I'm like, "This guy, what is your excuse when you're working? He's working 3 jobs. He's a legal immigrant. I want more of these people that want to come work, and less of the people living off the welfare. Like this guy's sitting here, like you're going to work 60, 80 hours a week, and you're going to make it. You can do that doing anything.
They're not living off the welfare. These
are absolutely people living off the welfare.
Oh, no, sorry,
there's all these things.
There's always going to be some level of people using government help, right? Sorry, right? There's going to be some level of people, including our own citizens, using government help. But the point is, like, if what you're talking about, and
but why can this guy do it and millions of Americans can't? Like, I'm absolutely for legal immigration.
Stop moving the goalposts.
I'm not moving the goalposts.
No, you've actually moved it.
It's the same goalpost.
Hold on. We can. No, it's not. So what we're talking about is people like getting in, the process of getting in, and do we want like what that process should look like? And now I can agree with you that we should have a quote unquote secure border, right? Because like I just said, I'm not for undocumented immigration, right? I want people to come the proper way, and if that comes along with a stronger border fence, like whatever, fine, right? Because I don't want people to make that dangerous journey, right? I want them to be able to come in here in a legalized manner, of course, right? And so in that case, maybe we can find common ground, right? We want them to come here and then to be able to work, right? We want to lower the barriers because I
mean, paleocons. There's a lot of Republicans that will agree with that.
Great, Tim, do you agree
with?
Like having more legalized immigration, right? In terms of people here coming to work to be productive, of course, right?
Short answer, no. Long answer is it's not. The simple question of do we want an easier path? There's way too many factors in the labor market to say more or less. So it's overly simplistic to say, let's make it easier for people to immigrate here. Oh, hold on. What's the unemployment rate? This is an important question. When we determine whether or not we're going to make immigration easier or harder, we have to check our current economic factors. There are certain times where we may want more. There's certain times where we may want less. Okay. And there's a whole bunch of different types of visas. So the one thing we don't want, the one thing we do want to happen right now is all illegal immigrants got to go. All illegal immigrants got to go.
Why?
So Donald Trump, in his first term, had a raid on numerous food processing plants in the South. I think it was something like ICE raids led to 700 or 800 deportations. The collective narrative from the corporate press and prominent Democrats was, these are jobs Americans don't want.
Oh.
Literally within a day, there were lines out the door of people trying to get these jobs. And when they interviewed people, one guy said, it pays more money than where I worked at a gas station.
I'm so glad you brought this up.
So the issue is, first, legal immigration is fantastic, and I'm a big fan. And I think, as Trump said, we want everybody in the world to come here, but they got to do it legally.
Agreed.
So the response we get typically from Democrats is, so we should make it easier. But that still doesn't address we need to make sure we have the appropriate unemployment number. Many people don't understand this. I learned this only in the past few years. We want unemployment to be around 3 and 4%, and it's currently just around 4. It could be lower. The reason why is no unemployment means there's literally no flexibility in the job market. It means that a company who's looking to fill a position can't find someone to fill it because literally everybody has a job. So there's a degree of unemployment that actually is not a bad thing. If unemployment is high, no immigration. If unemployment is low, then we need immigration.
So it sounds like you're saying is that you're looking for a dynamic system, right? That actually adjusts to current conditions, right? If there is slack within the labor market that's not being filled by Americans, you'd say, let's maybe increase the amount of immigrants coming in, right? If there's not slack, then we put a pause on it. Does that sound fair? Like a fair assessment of your argument?
To simplify a dynamic system that fluctuates year over year, I think that's what we do.
I want to talk a little bit about what you just brought up with the ag workers and whatnot, because I directly work in ag, right? And my family has worked with immigrants their entire lives with in regards to ranching. I have some of my fondest memories are like, getting fresh tortillas from, in fact, still my favorite food today, tortillas with butter on them, right? Like that's like what I like some of the immigrants.
Gibbs is a Mexican.
Have you ever had a tortilla right off the press from a family Mexican restaurant?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Magic.
I mean, I make masa myself, so I'm a big fan. But when we're sitting here and we're talking about these things, like it's y'all, the Democrats, not you, Prime, but the Democrats as a party as a general are arguing for what amounts to modern day slavery, right? They're arguing, all these costs are going to go up with agriculture if we replace these immigrants, right? Well, that's fine because the free market is going to fill it with American workers or legal immigrant workers because that's who should be getting the job. Some prices might go up, but wages will go up. Instead, what we're doing is we're having illegal immigrants here working in ag, and we're underpaying the living shit out of them, and they're driving the cost down for everybody, and that's hurting mom and pop ranchers way more than anything else.
Agree. We should have these people documented and then paying them a proper wage, so they're not like undermining American workers. I agree. We should have more legal immigration. Now, Tim, I don't know about this particular situation that you're talking about. I'm gonna take your word for it, right? In terms of this, was it a factory or whatever, this processing plant?
It was a big story like 5-6 years ago.
I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar, but like what I have seen is testimonials on the other side of like farm workers or whatever, farm owners saying the opposite, that they don't have people to fill in these.
I'll give you a simple one.
Okay.
I don't care, Margaret. If a farm worker says we can't convince Americans to do the jobs, then you need to find a way to do it. That's called the market. I'm a big fan of Trump's tariffs, and I'm a big fan of companies having to pay a living wage. So this argument of nobody wants to do this job.
Pay more.
Here's a question for you. Would you go and pick grapes in Virginia? They got a lot of wineries. Would you do that for $7 an hour?
No.
But an illegal immigrant would. Would you do it for $12 an hour?
No.
Would you do it for 20?
Probably not. There's a number. Obviously, there's a number. Yeah.
50?
Yeah, 50, sure.
$50 an hour, you take the job.
Broke as shit.
Hey, guess what? The problem we have is these people who are going, I can't convince anybody to do it. What they're really telling you is, I want to exploit poor people who will go on perilous journeys and work illegally under the
I
table.
hear you. Come on. We agree.
Monsanto.
We keep saying we agree, right?
Yeah.
If we're saying that we want more legal immigration, or sorry, you're not saying that. You're not quite saying that, right? But I'm saying at least I want these people who are working here to be documented, to be legalized. And then that's the
I
path
agree with that
forward.
too.
Okay. All right.
But I think the reason why I didn't say yes or no to the should we increase or decrease is it really depends on the current levels of unemployment. And the other concern is the cultural concern. So when you, and look, it's weird that this is even debated, but when you have a large influx of migrants, you see this in every single country, you get cultural displacement, which leads to conflict. and that is not a good thing.
Oh boy! All right,
I mean, that's a fact. I mean,
we've been lucky here in North America with our immigration, where it's very, very similar. Like we haven't had as much of that problem. Like this, maybe it's because we have the Spanish. We have the Spanish who used to own Mexico and all this, and the culture is similar. We've been lucky with it in regards to that. Our cultures are fairly similar compared to say Europe, where they're having like vastly different cultures move in. I don't think it's the same problem, except on a mass scale.
But I'll give you a specific example because I went to Sweden, and this was like a big thing that I did. In the 90s, Sweden brought in a bunch of refugees from Somalia. They did not have proper placement plans. They literally just said, have fun, figuratively. And what ended up happening was, well, what does a refugee, migrant, or otherwise do? They would prefer to live near people like themselves. This is true for any human anywhere.
Yeah.
You can see it in places like Chicago, for instance.
Chinatown.
Exactly. Yeah. And so what ends up happening is the children of these Somali refugees were born in Sweden. They do not know Somalia. If they go and visit Somalia, they're called Swedes, and they have a weird accent. In Sweden, they're called migrants, despite being born there. And so they end up creating enclaves where the culture is dramatically different. And Swedish people consider the things they do to be criminal, but the police can't go and enforce it because you've got a dense population of tens of thousands of individuals. I'll give you an example. In the United States, you shake your head no, but in the United States we have a female genital mutilation problem in Michigan because of the large Muslim population that comes. To them, it is culturally normal to engage in female circumcision. In the United States, we call that mutilation.
Sure, yes, and they have to follow the laws of the United States.
But they don't.
Yeah, but then,
in Jordan,
then they should be arrested.
The Palestinian refugees created a civil war almost overthrew the government.
Then they should be arrested.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, so subscribe and come hang out.